There's some fundamentals to business profit that if you get those things right, your chances for success are going to increase, obviously, substantially. And there's a few things that you got to avoid and be careful about. And then you take those primary concepts, and from there, you apply them specifically to your industry. Give some stories. We've had clients in the industry and in the field, and we'll take about an hour or so in that session, just walk through the basics. We typically have a couple goals that we associate with each of the sessions. With that session, I want to be able to give you one or two numbers that you can track very easily. So you don't have to review 40 financial statements and documents and spend 3 or 4 days trying to figure out where you're at.
I'm super excited today to interview Brandon Gray, who is going to be speaking at the Lawn Care Life Conference. And Brandon Gray is from the Simple Numbers team with Greg Crabtree, and he is going to be doing a VIP workshop all day, Friday, February 21st. And he's also going to be returning Saturday, February 22nd in the morning. And today we're going to talk about what is he going to talk about at the Lawn Care Life Conference. So he's a big Alabama fan, if I can remember correctly. Without further ado, welcome to the program, Brandon Gray.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate the opportunity to chat a little bit. Excited about what's coming up. So rolling in just from another presentation that we gave to some landscape supply distributors, familiarity with the industry and what you guys are going through and the challenges and what have you ahead of you. So it's going to be a good time. Hopefully a few nuggets along the way that everybody can pick up on and have a better business because of it.
Awesome. Well, people are coming from near and far to learn how they can understand their numbers better, how they can make more informed decision on the business side of things, the financial side of running a lawn care, landscaping, fertilizer business. I've been looking at the schedule that you sent Jason, and can you kind of walk us through each session and kind of what to expect? The abbreviated version, obviously, you got to be there in person to get all the X's and O's, but kind of give us the topic, cover each session, and maybe a little bit about that if you're ready to answer that.
Yeah, definitely. So we're going to kick things off with what I would call the simple numbers basics, just kind of helping everyone to understand what is the playbook that we run. And what we have found is that regardless of the type of business that you have, there's some fundamentals to business profitability that if you get those things right, your chances for success are going to increase, obviously, substantially. And there's a few things that you got to avoid and be careful about. And then you take those primary concepts whenever it comes to running a business, and from there you apply them specifically to your industry. And so we'll walk through some examples that apply specifically to you guys, give some stories. We've had clients in the industry and in the field that we can share of things that people did right, things that people kind of did, that they wish they hadn't. And, maybe you can learn from a few of those. And we'll take about an hour or so in that session, just walk through the basics. We typically have a couple goals that we associate with each of the sessions. And so with that session, I want to be able to give you one or two numbers that you can track very easily. And we'll go through how you track those, what they are and how you track them, to be able to determine how you're doing very quickly. So you don't have to review 40 financial statements and documents and spend 3 or 4 days trying to figure out where you're at. So 2 quick numbers that you can take away that'll tell you if your business is on the course it should be on.
That's exciting. And that's going to be on Friday morning, February 21st, to kind of kick off the VIP experience. We're going to break after that for lunch. And I'm going. I just got in from the golf course. I don't have the schedule in front of me.
All right.
I'm going. I got fitted. You like to golf?
I used to play a lot. And you probably have heard this story from more than one person. And then you had children. And so my days of playing now are limited to what I would call social golf. Okay. And so, still enjoy it, still have a lot of fun with it. And I've learned more about myself playing golf than perhaps any other sport. That's without a doubt. It's a test of mentality, you might say. So.
Yeah, well, I've never gotten fitted for clubs before. And I just went out and this fellow fits top PGA guys and Nelly Corder from the LPGA and all these.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, golfers. Well, I was super nervous and intimidated, but by the end of the fitting, it was 3.5 hours. I was just hitting these beautiful draws right down the middle with every club. And so he's going to order all like a specific driver, 3-wood hybrid irons, wedges that suit my game. And I'm so fired up because I was hitting these things so good. So it's pretty exciting.
I typically hit a natural draw. And I was playing not long ago at a course here locally, and the entire course is set up for a fade.
Ooh,
And if you draw the ball, you go off the side of a mountain.
man.
So it was a long day.
Yeah, I would say so. So I say all that to say I would have been more prepared and printed out the itinerary, but I do feel like I have it memorized pretty good. Jason and I have been talking every day. So I do remember the Simple Numbers Playbook is your opening fundamental talk.
Right.
I believe we're going to have lunch sometime after that. And then after lunch, I think you're going to get into how do we set our prices and why. Is that in order?
Pricing and inflation management.
Okay.
And so, we're going to go through some basics around where is the marketplace right now as it relates to inflation? What's going on in the labor market? What have we seen in our data? And here's one of the cool things that we're going to talk about. So we track 100 of our clients, their financial information. And so they're from different geographies, different industries. You get a pulse of what's taking place in what we call the entrepreneurial economy. And so one of the things that we get to look at is how much are expenses really rising? Because, when you look at the government data on inflation, it excludes a few things like food cost, fuel cost, and housing cost. And so I don't know about you, but that's what we spend the most of our money at my home on. And so we're going to look at some of that data and talk a little bit about that. We're going to talk a little bit about what's taking place in the labor market, both historically as well as we're expecting. And we kind of have some idea because it takes 20 years to grow a human. So we're going to look at some of that data and kind of set the table for here's where we're at with inflation. Here's where we see it going. And with that in mind, how do we price? What's the best strategy there? And depending upon your type of business, we're going to give out a couple of different strategies whenever it comes to pricing and things to take into consideration there, and just kind of give some guidelines as you look at 2025 and that season quickly upcoming, some approaches and best practices there with inflation in mind.
That sounds very interesting. And I'm single, so my money goes on golf clubs, stuff like that. But I'm looking forward to having a wife and kids one day. And I know a lot of the folks who are attending have families and things of that nature. Now, I think you're going to talk about reinvestment in the business after that. Is that correct?
Exactly. And so when you think about building wealth, one of, if not the best tool to build wealth is a privately held business. And we're going to go through what type of return do we see with our client base based on the investment they have in their business. What type of return is that generating? Use that as a benchmark. We're then going to talk through basically with that benchmark in mind, what are some things that you can reinvest back into your business and hit that benchmark return? We'd like to think that all investments, all expenses that we have into our business are going to pay off. Some do, some aren't quite as successful as others. And so we'll talk about a few things that we've seen some of our clients do that have worked really well in your industry. We'll also talk a little bit about marketing. Marketing is an investment back into your business. And so what are the leading things we're seeing in the area of marketing and what have you? We'll talk a little bit about if you were to reinvest into your business in terms of equipment. What you're looking for there, and how you can determine if that was successful or not. And then things like expanding your business, technology, systems, processes, operations, all of those kind of things. So we'll cover a wide range of things that we see and how to measure if you're getting a return or not and what that return should be.
That's good. And then after that, I believe you're going to teach on the SWOT analysis. And when we talked the first time with Jason and I, you explained what each of those stand for, but I forgot.
Yeah.
Remember it being very practical, that session, and you're going to come away with an actual action plan. Can you tell us a little more?
Exactly. And so what we're going to do there is kind of take the first step or two when it comes to strategic planning and competitive advantages. And you might go, well, why? I don't even need to go about that. All we're worried about is giving great customer service and what have you. And that's true. It's very important. However, you have to have a plan. And I would say now more than ever, what we've seen is a shift in the marketplace to where the mindset of the consumer is a little bit different than it was 2 or 3 years ago. And so what is our competitive advantage now in light of kind of how people are thinking? A lot disposable incomes are down from where they were 2 or 3 years ago. How can we still appeal to our customer base? We'll talk about a few things there, and we'll take a couple of steps, get everybody started in the right direction, and hopefully have some really good progress made toward an action plan for 2025. And there's a couple of ways that we're going to help folks do that. So you mentioned one is the SWOT analysis. It's been around forever. Great tool, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And I'll kind of walk you guys through the framework of how we work with our clients on assessing those and determining those. Another is what we call a gap analysis. And what's really cool about that, it's been used in a lot of companies as a turnaround tool. So if you're coming to the table and you look at 2024 and it just wasn't that great of a year for many numbers of reasons, we're going to go through a couple exercises there to help kind of identify where we were, where we want to be, and as the name says, what the gap is between those, and a couple of things we might can do to close those gaps. So that'll be a fun session, interactive, and hopefully not only will you benefit from just the exercises, but as we go through it, perhaps some of the conversation that we have in that as well.
Yeah. And I think we have baked into the schedule a Q&A where folks can kind of ask you any question that they have. So be ready for that. We don't know what they'll ask, but I
mean, we can talk SEC football, we can talk golf, we can talk fishing, or we can talk numbers. You know, I'm good with any of those, but
all right.
That's actually my favorite thing is whenever folks say, hey, I'm dealing with this issue, because we by no means know the solutions to all problems out there. But in many cases, someone in one of those sessions will ask a question. And, 2-3 weeks ago, we had a client who was dealing with the exact same thing. And, we get to sit back and see what they did and the results. So hopefully we can share some of those things.
I'm looking forward to that. We're going to have a big taco party dinner Friday night.
Right.
Family. So I know a lot of venues you probably go to, I'm assuming, are like hotel ballrooms and stuff like that.
Many times, yeah.
Now you're actually coming to Jason's family's property. So they live on 100 acres, and they have this beautiful venue where they most Saturday nights they host a wedding there.
Oh, cool.
But because it's his family's property, we rented it out for the night. So it is kind of wedding-ish. Like there's drapes and stuff for a bunch of rednecks, that have lawn care businesses. It's kind of funny, but it is a unique venue from probably what you're used to, being on a family property and a beautiful Alabama, 100 acres, rolling hills. It's gorgeous.
Awesome.
And then we're going to have dinner on Friday night. I think they're going to have tacos. That's what we had last year. And then Saturday morning, Chick-fil-A's catering breakfast.
Winner.
Yeah. And then I think you're the first speaker then on Saturday morning, and you're talking about enhanced profitability, if I remember correctly.
Right. Yeah. Kind of mastering margins. And we're going to talk about what the levers are inside your business to increase profitability. It'll be an expanded session from what we covered in the first day when we kind of talked about the playbook. We'll hit on some high level things there. We're going to get nitty gritty on the second day when we get into kind of mastering the margins. We're going to talk very specifically about things like labor efficiency. How do I increase it? How do I measure it? What should I be shooting for? We'll talk a little bit about things like your administrative and management teams, if you have those or if you're looking to build those. What are some things that you should do there to get the most return on that labor spend? And we'll also talk about, okay, what level of profitability should I be aiming for? How do I measure that? Why should I even be at that level? And those types of things. And so kind of think of it as a deeper dive perhaps than just the high level overview of the Simple Numbers Playbook. We'll give you some real application there.
Well, I'm really looking forward to it, Brandon. That's a loaded itinerary schedule that you have for us. What would you say to somebody who's listening that's on the fence thinking, man, it's a big investment to book an airline ticket and get a hotel for a night or two, and am I really going to get an ROI, coming and learning from Brandon Gray? What can they expect to leave knowledge-wise that they can implement in their business? Yeah,
well, there's a couple things there that I would address as far as that's concerned. So we're going to talk about this in the session, but anytime that you're investing in something, you want to get a return on that investment. And so as we kind of structure the educational content for what we give to clients and what have you there, we always keep that part in mind. Yes, it's an investment in dollars, but it's an investment in time too. So my challenge is always find 1 to 2 nuggets that you're going to carry back, and it will allow you to improve your business. And so I'll give you one quick example. When we talk about labor efficiency, being able to quickly identify if I am leveraging my labor correctly And you might think that fuel and equipment are your biggest cost in your business. I'm telling you, it's labor. And so misusing labor is extremely expensive. So, whenever you have a better idea of how to properly determine, am I leveraging that labor, to what level should I be leveraging it at? It makes a huge difference. And it's kind of humorous. Sometimes we leave these, and as we're about to walk out, somebody comes up to me and they says, well, I've made a decision about my team. And that decision may be I'm going to change the structure of my team. It may be that I'm going to part ways with underperformers. It may be that, hey, I need to add to my team, whatever it may be. But a lot of times just that one little component of what we talk about really can change their profitability inside their business. When we talk about inflation and pricing, that may seem like a small lever, but it has massive results on your bottom line. So if you can take a nugget away from that is going to perhaps change the way you price, change the way that you look at margin and what have you, that's another one that can provide really great returns. And I would say too, perhaps the greatest of those that we look at that we're going to deliver on as we're together is it's education. I spent the past weekend at a coaches clinic listening to some of the top coaches from the SEC and from the country. And, you kind of look at it on paper, you're like, man, that was like 2 days, not counting travel. But I brought back enough nuggets and information and things that if I will apply them, it'll help me be a better person, help me coach our clients better and what have you. And so educating you guys on how should you look at your numbers? What does all this mean? Because I can assure you, you guys are great at fertilizer, lawn care, weed treatment, landscaping, whatever it may be. And that's usually why you start the business. But what we're going to do is up your game whenever it comes to your financial IQ, being able to understand what do these numbers mean. And once you understand what they mean, then you can manage them more effectively.
Well, I'm absolutely pumped up, guys. This event is Friday, February 21st in Springville, Alabama, which is a suburb of Birmingham, Alabama. There's a Courtyard by Marriott there in Trustville. There's a Hampton Inn in Trustville. Those are the two hotels everyone kind of stays at. Springville is a small little town. Birmingham's a big city, but Springville, right. It's probably 15, 20-minute drive from the Birmingham airport. That's where I'm flying in. I'm actually coming in on Thursday and helping Jason decorate and do all that stuff to make sure everything's
right
up and running. But we're going to get kicked off Friday morning. Brandon's basically our workshop all day long on Friday. That's for the VIP ticket. And then Saturday is a mixture of the general admission tickets plus the VIPs. So the whole group will be blended together for the enhanced profitability margin session on Saturday morning. So is there anything we're leaving out here that needs addressed, Brandon?
That about covers it. I would say, come with an open mind. Come looking to learn, as I like to, and I'll ask this, not to spoil anything from the session, but one of the things I'll ask is on a scale from 1 to 5, 5 being the most, 1 being the least, how committed are you today? How engaged do you plan to be today? And, as is most things in life, you get out of it what you put into it. So if you come and you're an open, kind of an open mind, and you're willing and wanting to learn and not only increase your financial IQ, but learn some things that are going to help you have a stronger and more profitable business, you're going to get some of those nuggets to take away.
So good. Well, you got me fired up, Brandon. Stay healthy, safe travels.
Definitely.
And we look forward on Friday, February 21st, year 2025, Springville, Alabama, for learning from Brandon. All of these areas, I'm like, I'm going to be sitting front row with my notebook out.
All right.
The labor thing, I think, is what I struggle with the most, and I'm sure a lot of guys, it's just calculating, I'm paying Pookie this much money. Is it, how do you measure all that? So that's really, I think, going to be important, as well as all the other topics. So
I'm looking forward to it. It'll be a blast. These are some of my favorite things to do. And, it's really rewarding whenever we're able to play a small role in helping someone kind of have that light bulb moment towards like, oh, I got it. And then you can make some change.
Cool. Well, I'm really looking forward to it, Brandon. Safe travels, man. Stay healthy, and look forward to seeing you Friday, February 21st, bright and early in Springville, Alabama.
All right. Hit them straight until then.
Yes, sir. Cool. I hit end on